नमस्ते बिटिया, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया. Today we are discussing about the disorders of the myometrium and endometrium. Myself, Dr. Aarti, Associate Professor, Pathology Department, Jyoti Vidyapeeth. Today we are going to start with the disorders, in which we are discussing the first topic, the normal cyclical changes. First, we will talk about this. The normal endometrial cycle begins with proliferative phase lasting about 14 days under the influence of estrogen, followed by ovulation on the 14th day and subsequent secretory phase under the influence of progesterone. The cycle ends with the endometrial shading and the next cycle begins anew. In microscopic examination, essentially the endometrium consists of three structures: the endometrial lining, epithelium, and endometrial glands and stroma. Epithelial lining undergoes increase in its thickness from cuboidal to tall columnar appearance at ovulation and subsequently regress. Endometrial glands with their lining provide most of the information on phase of the menstrual cycle in the immediate post-menstrual period. The glands are straight and tubular, having columnar lining with basal nuclei. This phase is under the predominant influence of estrogen and lasts for about 14 days and is called proliferative phase. The evidence of ovulation is taken from the appearance of convolution in the glands and subnuclear vacuolation in the cells indicative of secretions. The secretory changes remain prominent for the next 7 days after ovulation for implantation of the ovum if it has been fertilized. Otherwise, the secretory activities wanes during the following 7 days with increased luminal secretion and a frayed and ragged luminal border of the cell lining the gland. This phase is under the predominant influence of progesterone and it is called the secretory phase. The endometrial stoma is the pre-ovulatory phase or proliferative phase is generally dense and compact, composed of oval to spindle cell. In the post-ovulatory phase or secretory phase, the stoma is loose and edematous, composed of large pale polyhedral cell. The true decidual reaction of the stoma occurs if the pregnancy has taken place. The estrogen produces the characteristic changes of proliferative phase at the time of menopause in the young woman with anovulatory cycle as occurs in Stein-Leventhal syndrome. The therapeutic addition of progesterone produces a secretory pattern in an estrogen-primed endometrium. Estrogen-progesterone combination hormonal therapy is employed for control of conception. The effect of pregnancy is implantation of the fertilized ovum result in interruption of endometrial cycle. The endometrial glands are enlarged with abundant glandular secretions and the stromal cells become more plump. The polygonal with increased cytoplasm termed decidual reaction. About 25% of the cases of uterine and extrauterine pregnancy show hyperactive secretory state called the Arias-Stella reaction. The onset of menopause is heralded with a hormonal transition and consequent varying morphological changes in the endometrium. The most commonly the senile endometrium, as it is generally called, is thin and atrophic with inactive gland and fibrous stroma. However, some of the gland may show cystic dilatation. Dysfunctional uterine bleeding (DUB) may be defined as excessive bleeding occurring during and between the menstrual period without a causative uterine lesion such as tumor, polyp, infection, hyperplasia, trauma, blood dysplasia, and pregnancy. The cause for anovulation at different ages are as follows. In prepubertal age, precocious puberty of hypothalamic, pituitary, and ovarian origin. In adolescence, anovulatory cycle at the onset of the menstruation. In reproductive age, complications of the pregnancy, endometrial hyperplasia, carcinoma, polyp, leiomyoma, adenomyosis. At premenopausal anovulatory cycle, irregular shading, endometrial hyperplasia, carcinoma, and polyp. At premenopausal endometrial hyperplasia, carcinoma, polyp, and senile atrophy. In endometritis and myometritis, there is an inflammatory involvement of the endometrium, myometrium, and it is uncommon clinical problem. Myometritis is seen less frequently than endometritis and occurs in continuation with endometrial infections. Endometritis and myometritis may be acute and chronic. In microscopy, acute endometritis and myometritis, there is progressive infiltration of the endometrium, myometrium, and parametrium by polymorphs and marked edema. in chronic non-specific endometritis and myometritis are characterized by infiltration of plasma cell along with the lymphocyte and macrophages. Tuberculosis endometritis is almost always associated with the tuberculosis salpingitis and shows a small caseation granuloma. In adenomyosis, and it is an abnormal distribution of histological benign endometrial tissue within the myometrium along with myometrial hypertrophy. The term adenomyoma is used for actually circumscribed mass made up of endometrium and smooth muscle tissue. Pathogenesis of condition remain unexplained. The possible underlying cause of the invasiveness and increased proliferation of the endometrium into the myometrium appear to be either a metaplasia or estrogenic stimulation due to endocrine dysfunction of the ovary. In general examination, the uterus may be slightly and marked enlarged. On cut section, there is diffuse thickness of the uterine wall with presence of post-tubular, ill-defined areas of hemorrhages. In microscopic examination, the diagnosis is based on the finding of normal benign endometrial island composed of glands as well as stroma deep within the muscular layer. The minimum distance between endometrial island within the myometrium and the basal endometrium should be 1 low power microscopic field for making a diagnosis. In endometriosis, it is referred to presence of endometrial glands and stroma in abnormal location outside the uterus. The chief location where the abnormal endometrial development may occur is in descending orders are ovaries, uterine filament, ligament, rectovaginal septum, pelvic peritoneum, laparotomy scar, infrequently in the umbilicus, vagina, vulva, appendix, hernial sacs. In histogenesis of endometriosis has been debatable matter of for years. Currently, however, the following three theories of histogenics are described. One is the transplacentation and regurgitation theory, which based on the assumption that ectopic endometrial tissue is transplanted from the uterus to an abnormal location by way of fallopian tube. Second is the metaplastic theory, suggests that ectopic endometrium develop in situ from local tissues by metaplasia of coelomic epithelium. Third is the vascular and lymphatic dissemination, explain the development of endometrial tissue as extrapelvic sites by these routes. In general examination, typically the foci of endometriosis appear as blue and brownish black underneath the surface of the site mentioned, and ovarian involvement is often bilateral, larger cyst 3 to 5 cm in diameter, filled with old dark brown blood from chocolate cyst of the ovary. In microscopic examination, the diagnosis is simple and rests on identification of foci of endometrial gland and stroma, old and new hemorrhages, hemosiderin-laden macrophages, and surrounding zone of inflammation and fibrosis. In endometrial hyperplasias is characterized by exaggerated proliferation of glandular and stromal tissue. It is commonly associated with prolonged, profuse, irregular uterine bleeding in a menopausal and postmenopausal women. Hyperplasia result from prolonged estrogenic stimulation uncomposed with any progestational activity. Endometrial hyperplasia is clinically significant due to the presence of cellular atapia, which is closely linked to the endometrial carcinoma. The following classification of endometrial hyperplasia is widely employed by most gynecological pathologists: simple hyperplasia without atapia, complex hyperplasia without atapia, and complex hyperplasia with atapia. This is a reference. I hope you enjoyed the session. If any query, mention it in comment box. Thank you so much. Bye bye.